G'day guys, I'm Ryan, your Chief Espresso Officer, and today I'm going to tell you about cleaning the Mythos grinder. Now this might not apply to every one of you watching because Mythos grinders are commercial grinders, so it might be more applicable to those of you who own a cafe and or are looking at getting one of these Mythos grinders. But if you're at home with a different kind of grinder, you can still learn a lot from this video because cleaning your grinder is one of the most important and often overlooked things that need to get done regularly in order for your coffee to stay tasty all the time. So let's get into it. So there are two stages to cleaning the Mythos. The front burrs, which are pretty easy to clean and access, and we do these regularly. You should do them every week or 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the volume that you're putting through there. We like to do ours every second week. However, the second stage is the back burr, and this is a lot harder to get access to. You actually need some special tools. We haven't done ours for quite a while, so we're going to take it apart. I'm going to show you some of the footage from when I took this apart just the other day, and we deep cleaned the whole thing from back to front. So let's watch and let's learn. First up, you want to turn off the unit itself. Remember, safety first. Next, take the hopper out by sliding this latch and carefully taking the hopper away. Find a screwdriver or a low-powered drill and make sure you adjust your torque settings to low to remove those 4 screws around that plate. Now, you should run out the grinds before you take the hopper out. We didn't. We're just going to carefully scoop all the remaining beans into the hopper so we don't waste any. But you can skip this step if you've already run the grinder until empty before starting cleaning. All right, now it's time to take the front plate off and get ready because obviously we forgot to grind all the beans out. There is a lot of mess. So remember to empty the grinder and you won't have this. But have a look at the gunk set into the burrs. I mean, this is drastically going to affect your dosing and your consistency, which will then affect your flavor. So just look at how important this step is. All right, now grab a good hard bristle brush. This one I bought specifically for cleaning the coffee machine and the grinder, and it's great because it gets that clunked up, gooed up stuff off your burrs because it has such hard bristles. So not a paintbrush. This one is really necessary for cleaning and chipping away at all of that mess. Prepare yourself to make a lot of mess. All right, now get yourself something thin and spiky, not too spiky. We've used our broken thermometer here, but I wouldn't be using a nail. That might scratch the surfaces too much. But you could get in there and just clean it out, get into all the cracks, get all the bits off the edges. Anything that works that's not going to damage the material, you can use in this space. Okay, that's the first stage of cleaning. Now we're going to go into the second stage. If you want to keep it just like that, you can just brush it down, make sure you get rid of all of those excess bits there. Wait until you see what we find when we took off the second plate, and then maybe you'll have a second thought about leaving it. All right, the next bit, you'll need a 20mm offset spanner and a 17mm offset spanner as well to get rid of the next base plate. Now, I don't know what these are in the US, and they are very hard to find even in Australia. So if you are struggling, I understand your pain, but however, this is what you need in order to do it. Put your 20mm spanner on first, then followed by the 17mm, and crack them together so that they go in opposite directions towards each other, and that will loosen the nut, and then you can start to unwind it and pull it out very easily. Just have a look at these grinds and how much they're caking up on the back here. That is all going to slow down and impede the speed of your rotor motor, so you really need to focus on cleaning that out as best you can. All right, time to get your hard bristle brush back out and start going to town. Get into all of those bits. Look at all the caked up grinds everywhere. This is because the oils in the bean get wet and then they solidify themselves and stick to the grinder, making it a completely hard, solid surface. So clean it out, then get your vacuum it out, clean it again. Those screws that are recessed into the actual grinder itself were so caked up with coffee on top, I didn't even realize they were screws. So just try to get into every little crack you can, break it out, then try to vacuum it up as best you can. So finally, you can see after a few rounds, I'm going back and forth with the vacuum and the cleaning and the brushes. Everything is back to a beautiful stainless steel shiny silver. So using a poker or a prodder, poke up into the declumper, and you also can poke it from a top to dislodge any of the stuck grinds there. You can take it apart if you really want to. There's some screws there, but I find it just incredibly fiddly to put it back together, so I just generally give it a clean like this. Next, we look at the back of the blades that we've just removed, and you can see a lot of gunk has been caking up there for quite some time. So much so that it's all blackened now from being heated up so often. Look at that. It is amazing how caked it on. This is super satisfying. I love just getting it back to clean. Just like everything else, start removing the grinds. Eventually you'll start to see the metal again, and if you look closely you can actually see we found the manufacturing numbers and information about the grinder underneath all of that caked up coffee. My grinder was actually made all the way back in November 2017, and considering that I bought this in 2018, that's pretty good. So using all your tools, work your way back to that beautiful shiny silver. Make sure you get into every crack that you can. Don't miss any. You will make a mess. Don't say I didn't warn you. All right, time to put this part back together, slotting it in, making sure it goes all the way to the back, nuts going on, back on, and then slightly tighten it. Don't go too tight. And also do make sure that it goes right to the back. Sometimes it gets caught and it might sit forward a little bit. Now before you put the top burr back on, give it a similar brush, just make sure it's absolutely nice and clean. Now, when you're putting the front burrs back on, make sure you screw the screws in, but not too tight. Obviously, you need to be able to get these out again in a couple of weeks. And now that everything is declogged and clean, you can dial it in again. Be prepared that you're going to spend a bit of time redialing this in because your burrs are going to be out. Your grind's going to be out from cleaning all of those excess grinds in there. Spend a bit of time dialing it back in. If you're in the cafe and you don't have time to redial it all in because you're doing this in the afternoon when it's shut, let your staff know for when they came up to work the next day to spend a bit of time dialing it in then. So that's how you do a deep clean on the Mythos grinder, and I recommend you do one of these every couple of weeks to at least a month depending on the volume. If I helped you in any way, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. If you want to check out how to be the ultimate barista, check out my website ultimatebaristacourse.com, and there's lots of other videos on there which every aspect of coffee making, from pouring latte art to extracting the best coffee to understanding all of the flavors that you're getting in your coffee. I'm Ryan, your Chief Espresso Officer. Enjoy your brew.